All right, you loyal listeners. Welcome to another episode of Agency Intelligence Podcast, where I give you that real agency intelligence and not that artificial that they try to make you believe out there. This is Cass, and we're back with Hanley, one of our favorite guests. It's my favorite guest, and it's also your favorite guest as a loyal listener. We're here to talk about a lot of different things, technology, how he doesn't like me, I don't like him, and then how we love each other as bros, and also, most importantly, ITC, Insure Tech Connect. I'm excited about that shit, Ryan. I really, truly am.
Yeah.
I really, truly
Yeah,
am.
me too. I think they've done a good job cultivating that
I think
event.
you've done a good job, and I'm being serious about that. That thing was on life support for independent agents, right? The agent section, in my opinion. And first of all, we got to give a lot of credit to Drake, right? I mean, Drake, if you guys don't know, he's the guy who puts on that portion. He's worked really hard. It's cool to see a guy who's not involved in the insurance industry to have so much care for putting on a good presentation and putting out good content for this. And it's shown. And he stepped up. How long ago have you been at the helm, bro?
So I have emceed the last two events, and I'm talking to them about extending that through the next two events. Certainly this year. I've enjoyed the process. I've enjoyed working with Drake a lot. I mean, honestly, I appreciate the kind words in terms of helping grow this thing, but if it wasn't for Drake, it wouldn't be happening.
It's true.
Despite not being a quote unquote insurance guy, he has pushed all of this forward and getting the speakers, the sponsors, the support, the room. He's the one that advocated for, if you buy a ticket to ITC Agents, you get a ticket to the entire event. So not everyone who's listening to this may not know, but not every group who runs an independent day the day before, like ITC Agents is, gets a ticket to the full event. That's something that Drake negotiated with a large organization, and it's a wonderful benefit. So you get to hear, these, AAA rated speakers on stage. I think, Damon John was there one year. Last year,
the dude from the Bananas, right? The Savannah Bananas.
The dude from Savannah Bananas. This year, I don't know if I can announce it's all going to be, but the one that's this year is really cool, very rare. Everyone will know him. Incredible guy. I do not want to blow up the spot, so I'm going to keep that under my vest just because I don't know if it's public knowledge yet, and I don't want to get myself.
It's okay. You can tell him Donald Trump's going to be there.
Yeah. No, if it was Trump, I would tell everybody. That would be amazing.
That would be.
But it really has been a fun experience. I mean, one, I love emceeing. I love being part of events. I think everyone probably knows that. I obviously like keynoting and doing my own thing for sure, but there's something about kind of running show and emceeing that I really enjoy, being that bridge between the various speakers, keeping the flow going, trying to keep the audience entertained, informed, while the show is going on. I just enjoy it. So it's been a really good partnership. It's been exciting to be part of, bringing this agent enablement wave of technology to the industry in another format. You do a tremendous job with Indie Tech. And I think between ITC Agents and Indie Tech, and I know we're the two organizations are working and talking together. That's why we're here today as well. I think it's wonderful. And the last thing I'll say on this is what I really appreciate about ITC Agents, and this has always been true about your events too, but most are not, and this isn't necessarily bad, but it's completely agnostic of association, geographic region, technology usage. So there, and I don't mean this negatively, but I get it. Like if you're part of the Big I, you go to Big I events. If you're a Vertafore or Applied user, you go to their technology event, and that is good. But you're also getting, and I don't mean this in a nefarious way, but you're getting a bias filtered take on what's available to you. Because that's just how it works. You know what I mean? Again, I don't mean that negatively. What's cool about ITC, and I think the same is very much true for Indie Tech, is that you get this unbiased, unfiltered, like they're just trying to bring good vendors who want to work with independent agents and put them in front of them. because they don't have the politics behind the scenes of, this organization of that organization. So, um,
Yep.
I don't think it makes it better or worse, but I do think it gives it a unique flair, and it's been a pleasure to be part of it.
You're exactly right. I've been doing some unofficial studying, and the average conference out there has about 300 people that come to it. And when you think about it, when you think about the agents that come there, one of the things that motivated me with Indie Tech is I go to these events, I do some speaking, not as much as you, but you walk into these halls, there's 40, 50, 60, 70 vendors there, and like there's 5 or 10 of them that really have to do with technology. So how are we supposed to promote technology for independent insurance agents to carry this industry forward if they're not around it? At the same time, with vendors, there's about 20% of agents that go to these things for technology. One of the things I like about ITC and about Indie Tech is that 100% of the people who go there
Yep.
are about technology. 100% of
Yeah.
the vendors that are there are for, well, 99%. There's some carriers and stuff, but 99% of them are technology. And so this is why I really like what we're doing here. I think it's great. We're kind of spaced apart about 6 months.
Yep.
Drake comes to our events. ITC helps us with ours. So then let's talk about that though. First day, I think this is what I heard Drake say, and I think it was great. First day is download day. So that's you leading all these great speakers. I love how you keep people on for 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then you kick them off, especially like people like Cass, like get your ass off there. You talk too much, right? I love how you do that kind of stuff. And then Wednesday, the next day is going to be the brain share. So you take everything you learned on download day, everything you downloaded, and then let's try to make it practical that next day. So I think that's a hell of a lineup, and it worked last year.
I thought that worked really well. I thought it worked really well. And I'm looking forward to this year having an even bigger audience potentially for brain share the next day, because I thought it worked for a first pass at kind of like everybody sit in a room and like you said, download the information, take your notes. Hey, I really like this tool, or I've never looked into voice AI. So, okay, I got a couple of vendors I'm going to go look at, and I know kind of some use cases. And then the cool part about BrainShare that next day was then it was a very open, honest, wide-ranging discussion on, okay, hey, I heard about insert, again, just using this example, this AI voice vendor, like, is anybody else using it? How are you using it? What results have you seen? What are some of the things I need to think about before I implement? So now there's this open forum for discussing what we had seen the day before without having to miss other keynotes or other sessions. That's why I like this kind of 2-day format that they have, where the first day, it's not really built for in-depth discussions. It's built more for, let's hit you with these, we call them mic drop sessions, 15-minute sessions, bam, bam, bam. You're just getting all this information. And then the next day, you can kind of, after having sat with that information, go, all right, what didn't make sense to me? Well, I heard about this tool. It sounded cool, but I'm not sure if it fits. How are people using it? And then you get an agent over here who's actually using that tool, sharing their experience. And then maybe you or me drop in with what we've seen. And now all of a sudden that person gets a very detailed breakdown of, is this tool right for me? And is it something I consider? And if, should I consider? And if so, maybe even a little bit of some steps or a framework or a system for implementing it. And that to me is where a lot of the value comes out.
So if you've never been to BrainShare, there's around 4 or 5 microphones floating around. Ryan will have one, I'll have one, Mitch Gibson will have one, Dwight will have one, maybe somebody else. And so that's what Ryan's saying. So when we start talking about AI voice agents, you can just raise your hand, say, give me the mic, and then you just start asking the questions. Something for Indie Tech this year, Ryan, something that I did is I learned from that BrainShare. We're doing what's called panel in the audience this year. So instead of having a panel, we're putting those panelists in the audience with the microphones, and they take the questions there, and it allows the people, and they'll be the ones passing around the microphones, answering the questions. So you're going to have the CEOs of these AMSs, rather than sitting there and saying what they say and not being able to get much feedback from the audience. Nah, we're putting them in the audience. It's called panel in the audience, and we learned it. It came from Jeff Roy and Dwight Hempner. said, hey, what you guys did at BrainShare last year at ITC, you guys need to do that again. So we're doing that this year at Indie
I
Tech.
like it.
So yeah, so that's fantastic. One of the exciting things I'd like to say before we go on is Indie Tech. If you don't know about it, go check it out. February 1st through the 3rd, and BrainShare's on the 1st, Indie Tech's on the 2nd and 3rd. In the first 24 hours, we had 318 people sign up, which was incredible. Last year, we only had 355 agents. We had 435 people, which were like CIOs, CTOs and stuff, but 355, 56, something like that, agents. We're already up to 345 this year, and we still got 9 months to go. So this is going to be fabulous. And Ryan, wait till you see the freaking hotel, dude. This hotel is so badass in West Palm Beach. It's so cool. So cool.
Dude, I thought you did a great job with Indie Tech last year. I was upset. I mean, it was the day before my heart surgery, so I couldn't really engage that much.
A little scary.
But I was so glad that I was there. I probably shouldn't have been there. Not recommended to travel by plane and do a keynote the day before a heart surgery.
I think somebody said you had to sit down like halfway through.
A couple times.
Because it's you, right? You're all worked up and shit and going, you know, and so
I know I had to explain to the audience. I was like, hey, you know, I'm going to do my best here, but I may have to sit a couple times because so just the audience may not know. I had to get a cardio ablation. I had AFib. I was in like constant tachycardia kind of while I was there. My whoop was screaming at me, but
better now.
I don't know. I wanted to go. Yeah. No, I'm good now. I may have to go get another one in a couple months. We'll see, but it's much, much better. And you know, getting old blows, dude. It's just the worst. But
bro, it does.
I know.
We've heard about it our whole life, and it does. God damn.
I know, and it's like the worst part is, you know, that was an interesting experience for me. Not to get too contextual, but just like I take care of myself pretty well. You know, maybe I have a, you know, on a perfect basis, I may have a few too many cocktails a week, but for the most part, you know, workout. You know, I'm big into peptides and supplements. I take those. I eat pretty good, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, you just kind of, I don't know, you just have in your head, like, I'm going to wake up tomorrow the same way I felt the day before. And it was a very eye-opening experience for me. And I think it's been good overall as a reminder to just enjoy life and to set your life up the way you want it to be. It certainly has been for me that, like, I just woke up I went to bed and felt nothing out of the ordinary. You know what I mean? Maybe I was a little tired, and I woke up the next morning and my heart was going bananas, and it just was like that until I went to the doctors and got on some medicine, and then I had to wait until I got my surgery. But like, it was the first time in my life, and I guess I'm blessed that I'm 45 and I've made it this far without this happening, but it's the first time in my life where I was like, this is debilitating. Like if there wasn't a fix for it, which thankfully there was. And I know a lot of people have had ablations. It's not like a major, it's not like they were cutting my heart open or anything.
But they still had the feeling you had right now.
Yeah. I just was like, it was the first time I've been like, holy shit, like this is debilitating. Like if they can't fix this, like I'm in trouble. Like I couldn't work out. I would, like, unless I was on the meds, I couldn't even walk up and down stairs without losing my breath. So that was really an eye opener for me, in so much as like, I want to redesign my life, how I work, how I operate to around the life that I want to live, not work all the time and then try to live around my work, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I have always been, probably for the worse, but certainly have always been, you work, that's what you do, and then you live around your work. And that was a moment where I was like, nah, I don't want to do that anymore. Like I'm good at what I do. It's one of the reasons I've gone so hard on AI, dude, is that I you know, I got the book coming out, Easy Mode, here in the fall of 2027.
Yep.
Which I'm really excited about. But that whole book is about my belief structure and how I've set my life up. And I was starting to do this before the heart issue. But when that happened, it was almost like I felt called. It was like a reminder to say, look, like you believe in this path. You have lived it in the past. You are not currently living it. So here's a reminder. Your heart's, you know what I mean? It was almost like God going, here's a reminder that if you don't walk this path that you believe in, this is what happens. Like you burn yourself out, which is essentially what I was doing is I was burning the candle on both ends hardcore. And it's just, to be honest with you, now, this idea of easy mode and teaching this, I did my first keynote on it at PGI, their $1 billion premium event, which was a phenomenal event. Sean Walker's the man. Rex is the man. Everyone over there is great.
Sean is
saw
great.
Charles, saw Taryn, like so many good people.
Tell me what easy mode is.
So you've heard me talk in the past, and you know that when I built Rogue, I built it around this idea of a human optimized business model, right?
I love that. It's one of my favorite things that you produced.
Yeah. So for those of you who may not heard it, the quick and dirty is back in 2015, I read this stat that the average CSR in the insurance industry from moment of notification to finishing a task on average takes 20 minutes, right? Obviously some are longer, some are shorter, but on average it takes 20 minutes from the moment you're notified to the moment that you finish the task. And inside of those 20 minutes, 5 of those minutes are spent talking to the human, to the customer, the prospect, the client, and 15 of those minutes are spent actually doing whatever it is that needs to get done to finish the task. And my philosophy at Rogue, and again, we didn't have AI, so it's just automation and outsourcing at this point, and like systems and frameworks, was I want to flip that on its head. Like, I feel like if we're truly a service business, if we believe, which I think we do as independent agents, that our value is the human relationship that you get. It's been our value for 440 plus years. Right. If that's the case, then we're not actually living up to that standard. If our breakdown is, 75% of our time is spent doing the nonsensical transaction piece, the rekeying and the system stuff, and we're only spending 5 minutes on the phone and 25% of the time is on the phone. So the entire goal of Rogue Wish was to flip it on its head, which I think we did a very good job of and was a big part of how we grew. So what I advocate for is we need to get our people building relationships, solving problems, and selling stuff as often as possible. That's where they should be spending the vast majority of your time. And you as a leader or a leadership group, it is your role to come behind them and figure out how to either automate, outsource, or now use AI to remove all the nonsense work that keeps them from building relationships, solving problems, and selling stuff. Okay. So that's kind of my core belief. I have then implemented that in my own life by saying, okay, I want to set my own life up so that I am cultivating relationships, be personal or business, that I am working on, the solving problems part is working on problems, working on projects that are truly meaningful to me and that I think bring meaning to other people. And then finally, doing the work of selling and growing the business and that kind of stuff. And if I'm in those 3 buckets, the vast majority of the time, my business grows, my brand grows, my life grows in abundance. Okay. So easy mode is essentially the packaged up framework for how you get yourself and your team/business into their easy mode, which is the thing you do that looks like cheating to everyone else.
Ooh.
Everybody's got one, right? So for me, it's content creation. People look at how much content I create and they're like, how the bleep do you create that much content, right? And it's hard for me to explain, dude, because I just love it. It's who I am. It's how my brain works. I will come out of this conversation with you with 3 notes on LinkedIn posts that I want to make or whatever, just because I'm constantly thinking in how do I take this topic, boil it down into something that I feel is of value to others, and then posting it somewhere like that. I just love it. So that's my easy mode. To other people, they're like, you're a maniac. But to me, it's easy, even though it's not easy in the work. I don't mean it like that. I mean, it's easy for me to do it. It looks like cheating other people. You have yours. Everybody has their thing. And maybe we have 1 or 2 or even 3 of these things that the thing we do that we love that looks like cheating to everybody else. And if you can get yourself and your team in those places as often as possible, that's how we win today. Because AI is going to commoditize all of the non-value transactional work, right? The rekeying, the moving information from one system to another, the research, the prospecting, the basic comms, all of these things are going to be, using AI, are going to just happen automatically through agents or workflows, et cetera. And so how do we differentiate ourselves? We differentiate ourselves by the way that we build relationships, how we build them in the depth, right? Our ability to take the research, the insights, the intelligence of AI and actually applying them to solve real problems in the world. And by selling and growing and creating the systems, et cetera, that take either your life, if that's what it is, or your business to the next level. So I'll give you one very short case study on how this works. So in Rogue Risk, I had a woman that I hired. I hired her as a CSR to start, and she was good, not great. The basic feedback was that she was fine, but she was kind of harsh, and frankly, she kind of showed, this was her words, not mine. She showed up with RBF all the time. You could just tell, like, she just wasn't having a good time. You know what I mean? She was doing the job. It was a job, and she was okay, but she was not great, and she was not having a good time. And I just sat down with her one day, and I was kind of just trying to figure out what was going on, because she's very intelligent, right? Certainly knew what she was doing. And, basically said, like, what's up? And she's like, I hate talking to these clients that have friggin' problems all the time. I just don't like it. And I was like, okay, well, that's not awesome, because your job is to essentially solve client problems when they call. And I said, well, what would you rather be doing? She's like, well, I'd really like to be in sales. I've had a sales career in the past. And I said, well, why did you apply for a CSR position? She said, well, I needed a job. I wasn't happy at my current agent. I really liked our interview. I liked you. I liked the team. So I figured I'd rather work for someplace I like and do something I didn't like than do something I liked or wanted to do, in this case, sales, at a place that I didn't enjoy working. Okay, that's fair enough. Well, let's try you in sales. So we tried her in sales. And again, she was good, not great, but I could tell she was happier. So we're getting a little closer. And I said, well, a couple months later, I said, well, what's going on again? And she said, I really just like working with contractors. She goes, I just get them. She was she was kind of blue collar person. Her husband was in the military, and she just was able to deal with pickup truck contractors who everyone else freaking hates working with, right? Because they, they're hard to get a hold of. They don't have all the information. They're constantly feel like they're trying to game the system. They're tough to deal with, these guys. Not that we shouldn't do business, but they're tough.
They are.
But she crushed, dude. She had like a 90% close rate. So what do we do? To get Sam, now I didn't call it this at the time, right? This is hindsight that I was able to pull this out. But what I did with her was I said, okay, we're just going to route all of our pickup truck contractors to Sam. Because really no one else on the team was dying to deal with them, right? But she liked them. And she had close to a 90% close ratio on qualified contractors, because she just spoke. That was her easy mode. Once we got her to her easy mode, which was dealing with these pickup truck contractors, her sales went up. She never missed a quota again. She showed up with energy, and she even pitched me on, hey, can I start making calls on Sundays? Because that's when these guys are available. So not only was she happier, was she hitting her marks in general and doing something that no one else wanted to do, but now she's starting to actually solve problems in the business that I didn't even see, because she's so engaged in what her easy mode was. So that's just kind of one example.
In the book, do you help people like me and others help find that easy mode for our customer, our employees? Okay.
Yeah. So the whole point is create, essentially the book kind of just breaks down the concept, obviously, at the beginning. And then through the rest of the book, it essentially gives frameworks, processes, question sets, et cetera, for getting both yourself and then your team into easy mode. So that's kind of the idea.
That's awesome. So that's due out in the fall.
No, September of 2027. So unfortunately,
September
it's
of
traditionally.
Jesus Christ, what are you doing?
It's a traditionally public. It's going to be through Simon & Schuster imprint. So
that's important.
You just have a long
not doing like Cass and you've done before by putting it on Amazon. No disrespect to that, but you're actually got it published.
Yeah, bud, I wanted to, and I'd love to tell you a story of how I got it published, because it speaks to the power of AI agents. And I was just talking to our friend Libor about what they have going on with Momentum Claw, or whatever they're calling it.
Yeah.
Which is a really good idea. So yes, I felt like maybe it's a bit of vanity, but more it was I wanted to prove to myself that I could create an idea, a brand, a concept that I could package it in a way that a traditional publisher would pick. And I know, and I've said it many times to many people, like you don't need approval, you don't need all those things are true.
Mm-hmm.
But there is something to be said for putting together the quality, the time, the packaging, the prospecting. It's like prospecting anything else, a publisher that to actually get that and have that stamp on it. I wanted that
That's
judge
cool.
me, don't judge me.
No,
but
no.
I
mean,
wanted
who
that.
cares? Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. That makes total sense. All right. So as we close it up, we're not closing it right now, but I want to flip to something that is very I just kind of want to just bitch for a minute, right?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even say bitch, but let's just say let's call out what it is, okay? So we're here we've been doing this for a while. You and I are here in 2012, 2013. We're doing the social marketing. We're posting on that thing that we don't know why you would use called Instagram, and people are telling us we're wrong, and we're abusing the industry, and we're making it look bad, and all this stuff that you and I have always had to encounter with each thing.
People don't believe that you and I used to get heckled for talking about marketing at conferences.
I know.
Guys, this is a real thing. Like when I say heckled, I had people yell out from the crowd, not in my town, not in my industry. My customers don't do that.
Okay.
You're teaching, no, this shit doesn't work. What are you saying? Like
it's
yelling out from the audience during keynotes. Like that's 100% a real thing that used to happen. Not anymore.
I actually, as an agency owner, I'm disagreeing with you, Jason. I actually blocked all social media accounts in my office. You're like, what the hell? Anyways.
Only people who price shop come from YouTube. It's all garbage leads. You're teaching my people to track garbage leads that we don't want.
That's unbelievable. And I'm glad that happened. Because everything that came after that I would get heckled or told I was wrong, I'm like, I've been here. I've done this. I've seen this story. But yet the thing that is changing humanity, like humanity has never been changed, here we are again with the haters. The people that say, oh, this is being overblown. And I think a lot of it today comes out of fear, right? I really do. I also have to say this. I want to say this before we gripe at these people who are trying to put down AI and trying to say and getting against those who are leading. I think agents will change and adapt quickly. I think when it came to the email, internet marketing, Facebook, social media, the internet, email, fax, none of that changed the needle. I could adopt that or not, and it didn't really change much. I still could go buy a brand new Audi and knew that I was going to be able to make the payment, right?
And if you were late, you could catch up really quick.
You could. Ooh, that's a part of it that I actually haven't thought about. You're exactly right. Not this. And I think also there is this thing that when you see somebody, according to best practices, 55% of somebody's revenue is attributed to people cost, and you start hearing that CAS's is going down in the 20s and 30s%, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars of difference. I think that's going to catch agencies' ear. I really do believe after we get through this pushback thing that we're talking about, I think people will adopt. But right now, you can start to see the haters. You just did a post on this, and I always listen to your posts and shit. And I mean, loyal listeners, half the time he's talking about shit, I'm disagreeing with him. I'm watching this thing on LinkedIn going, Ryan, I don't know if you're seeing that. This one you did the other day in your weight army jacket thing that you do, that you always wear. I got to tell you, dude, I agree with you. I wasn't screaming, but in my head, I'm screaming at the screen going, dude, you are right about this. And I just it blows my mind that there's these people out there that are ignoring what is going on in our world right now. What say
Yeah.
you on this topic, Ryan?
Yeah, so I'm assuming the post you're talking about is the AI slop shaming one.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
So, guys, if you didn't see it, it's on my LinkedIn. You can go watch it. But basically, I've been looking at LinkedIn. I did 2 posts in 2 days. The first one was, if you are getting your AI information from LinkedIn, you are so far behind, you are losing. Like, the conversation on LinkedIn is bananas versus the conversation on X. So if you're on X, it is abundance. It is, here's how you fix this. Here's another process. Here's how you can pull prospects and have them automatically put into your CRM. And here's how you use Claude Code to dial in and, make sure you cross-reference all of your content. Here's how, how do you build a second brain? I mean, it's unbelievable, the conversations that happen on X. And then you come over to LinkedIn and it's like, AI is not going to replace people.
So well
People who
said.
use AI is going to replace people, but only if you use Copilot and you keep it heavily guardrailed and don't ever let it have access to your email. I'm like, oh my God. Like, if you only were on LinkedIn and you took what is happening in AI only from LinkedIn, one, you'd think that you probably think AI is bad because most of the comments are very negative. Two, you'd think it was this basic thing that could barely do anything, which is not true. And three, you in general are falling rapidly behind. Now, here's the disconnect for me, and I'll get to the slop shaming one in one sec. The disconnect for me in AI versus previous technologies is that you're not falling behind in the tool, because the tools are going to change 1,000 times.
Very
right?
true.
There's always a new model. There's always more functionality, right? Claude Design doesn't exist. Then it designs and you never have to think about creating a PDF ever again, right? Manus doesn't exist. Now you never have to make a slide deck ever again. I literally had a slide deck before I did a keynote down for the Florida Young Agents, Sales and Leadership Conference. And my keynote, first time this has ever happened to me, the file got corrupted somehow. So I'm 15 minutes from going on stage. 15 minutes from going on stage, my keynote is toast. So I take the basic outline for the keynote, I throw it in Manus, I tell Manus what's going on. I have 15 minutes before I got to go on stage. Here's the basic outline for the keynote. I need you to create a slide deck that's ready for me to walk on stage. And it just cranked out this keynote. Was it perfect? No. Was it more than professional enough for me to do an A-class job for that audience? Yes. And it's like, tools like that and we're talking, that's even basic functionality. So my point is, like, if you're sitting on LinkedIn and you're only getting your information from LinkedIn, you are falling behind on the mentality of how to think about AI. That's what we need to learn.
Yes.
We don't need to learn the tools. Be completely agnostic to tools. I love Claude today. I like Manus today, and I like OpenClaw. Those are my 3 favorite tools to use for AI. I use each one as a different function, etc. But if tomorrow Claude went away and I had to move to some brand new tool, or I had to move back to OpenAI, or I had to move to Llama or Gemini, the mentality of how the tools work, the thought process of how to frame them, how to get the best answers, how to connect things, that's what you're falling behind on. Is that as my way of thinking about AI continues to improve and become more refined, I can rapidly adapt to every new change without a blink, where those of us that are either becoming just very focused on a singular tool, or we're not learning how to interact and leverage the technology, we're essentially starting from zero every time we try to take on a new thing. And that's the mentality. Okay, so that's kind of where that is. That was the first post.
That's good.
The second post,
good stuff,
is this AI slop shaming. So this shit is really pissing me off, because I'm on LinkedIn and I watched in one day 3 different marketing guru / influencers do something very similar that I thought, I just think I was horrified watching this. And essentially what they did was each one did this in their own way, but they took someone's post and thank goodness they blurred out the person's name. But then they just torched the person's post. And like, oh, the fact that there's 3 lines in a row here, this is AI. I know there's an M dash here, so that's AI. And here's a lead in sentence, so that's AI. And they basically just shame the shit out of this person for using AI. And I'm like, so how do they get better? So what you're saying is, marketing guru, influencer person, is that this person shouldn't post anything if it doesn't hit some human looking post like bar that you have arbitrarily set in your mind. Like, what are you talking about? Like, the person's post, the argument the person was making in the post, I thought was completely valid for, I think it was like real estate industry or something. You know what I mean? But like, I'm reading this going, the argument is fine. So you just don't like that in this case, they obviously had a premise and they had a take, and that they used AI to kind of maybe package in some of the filler. And look, would it have been cleaner if they had gone through it and maybe just formatted a little better and cleaned up some of the AI formatting? Yes, but they're not supposed to try. Like, don't they have to suck to become good? So we're just going to shame everyone into not posting until it hits some arbitrary marketing guru bar of human looking content. Like, that to me is the antithesis of what we should be doing. This is the ultimate FAFO moment. Post, see what, you know what I mean? Like, post stuff, see what happens. Maybe your audience doesn't respond. Maybe your audience doesn't care. What I actually think is going to happen versus AI coming back to looking more human, I have a feeling as a consumer, we're just going to become more comfortable with the way AI formats content. Absolutely. We're going to move to the way AI creates, not us moving back to creating more like human, whatever creating like a human is. Because this is the last thing I'll say and I'll shut up. What these people weren't doing was trashing the really crappy human written posts. Because there are plenty of those. There are plenty of posts that are written by humans that are terrible, that are big blocks of text.
Way to say that. Way to jump to the other side. Yes.
So it's like, okay, so it's completely acceptable on LinkedIn to create this horrifying, terrible to read LinkedIn post because it was typed out by a human. But if that same premise is typed out by AI, somehow now we need to shame them. And I'm just so anti that. I just think we have to play around. We have to have a gray area for mistakes or content that doesn't resonate or something that looks a little too AI, right? Like, I just think that that's the absolute wrong advice. And if whatever marketing guru you're listening to is somehow, slop shaming you, you should stop following that person immediately.
I agree. I wanted to hear you say that. Ryan, so with ITC, we'll head back to that. What are I know the dates, okay? You know how I know the dates? Because I got to talk to the people who lead ITC. September 28th is my anniversary, okay? Bad timing to put it on the 29th and the 30th, okay? But then again, I have to remember the world doesn't revolve around me. But yeah, so I'm actually bringing my wife. And to be fair, we're going to Palm Springs for like 5 days before, and then we're flying there on Monday, our anniversary, and then I'll be there. But I told her, I said, honey, I promise you when we land, I'm not hanging out with Hanley. I'm not hanging out with any of my buddies on Monday, okay? Tuesday morning, that's when I'm good. So I'm going to talk to Drake about this. This around my anniversary's got to change. So anyways,
you go like Palm Desert, Palm Springs?
Yeah, we're going to La Quinta.
Oh yeah. I love Palm Desert.
I actually, side show, I won my very first trip with Pekin Insurance in 2006. And I remember Andrea and I went there, and that was the first time, Ryan, that like I had been just spoiled. Like that was my first time where I was like, wow, performance does pay, And so her and I were talking, and then this thing come up with ITC. We're actually planning on going to New York, and we're going to spend our anniversary in New York. And then this thing with ITC date comes, and I'm like, no. And so then I made a thing. I said, hey, babe, let's go to La Quinta. So I worked it out. Hey, I've been doing this for 24 years. I know how to work this. And so we're going to have a great time. But anyways, September 29th and September 30th,
Yep.
Those are the 2 dates. First day is Tuesday. That's download day. Wednesday is, and it's unofficially download day. I heard Drake say that. I thought that was a very good way to say it.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's not like the technical name, but sure, that's what it's
You're
about.
going to
Yeah.
get all the stuff, all the information. As Ryan said, you're going to make your notes, and then you're going to go look at the tech vendors out there, try to figure it out, and then bring back, and then other agents we're going to share with you and other people how to do that. And I think it may not be going on anymore, but if Ryan and I on our LinkedIn posts probably about a week ago, they're giving away like 15, I think, free passes, I think, to go.
Yep.
So instead of you paying the full price, you get, and as Ryan said, you get that full price. You could get that possibly for free, and you come to our event and also the other event as well, which I have to say, it is overwhelming. It is an unbelievable event. The only advice I could give somebody that's going is figure out who's going and set times to meet them. Because if you say to somebody, hey, I'll see you at ITC, there's odds that's not going to just happen. It's not like a conference where it's 300 people and you walk in and see everybody. I mean, it's amazing. Ryan, whenever I get back from ITC, I'll always see all the posts on LinkedIn and I'm like, all these people were there. Where were all these people? It's really, really wild, man.
It is big. You know, I agree with you. I think so. You technically get Tuesday. So with the ticket for ITC agents, you get the Tuesday, which is what we'll call the download day. The
Agent
specific,
day.
all the content is specifically for IAs. And then Wednesday you get the full conference, and Thursday you get the full conference, and then Wednesday. After the morning session, which is like the big keynote, and some of the really big speakers usually get like a CEO of one of the biggest carriers and, you know, really good stuff. Then that breaks, and then that's when Brain Share starts, and you can come back, and that's when we do kind of the big group discussion and the facilitated. And I thought that went really well last year, and I'm looking forward to having even more people this year. And then you get all the after party stuff on Wednesday, and then all day again on Thursday, and the after party stuff on Thursday. So you not only get, like I said, it's one of the few tickets where you get the pre-day, which is Tuesday, right? The specific focus on IA day, because there are other groups that do it. I think life insurance agents, there's some different groups that have it. But with ITC agent ticket, you get the Tuesday, and then that ticket also gets you the full access to Wednesday and Thursday, which is great. And
they always have big bands too, like Goo Goo Dolls and other people that play. You get that.
Boys to Men was 2 years ago. That was cool.
That was. Didn't someone get Ja Rule one time or something? Maybe that was another concert. That was probably another thing.
I would remember if it was Ja Rule, because I would have loved to have seen Ja Rule.
It was somebody, I can't remember, but maybe that was another event. So
I can't do Ja Rule voice, but no, it's a really cool thing, and I agree. You go. You know, make sure you set up some meetings. But the cool part is every carrier you represent is going to be there. Every vendor that you work with is going to be there. Every MGA wholesaler that you work with is going to be there. So, there's going to be representation. So if you I had one guy tell me, I've never been in a place where I could go talk to a tech vendor, do some game planning around how I would implement that and how it would grow, and then take that conversation and go meet with 3 or 4 of my carriers and say, hey, how do we work together using this tool to kind of grow my book with you? And it's a nice venue for that, which I think is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Dude, can I, before we wrap, can I just share one thing about AI that I want to get your take on, because I'm just interested in where you are with this.
Okay.
So have you dove into OpenClaw?
I'm not an OpenClaw guy, no.
Okay. So for those of you who aren't familiar with OpenClaw, it is like, say, Claude Code, except it has no harness boundaries. It can do anything that it's never going to go. Like, I'll give you an example. Like today, I built this skill for Claude, which I'm happy to share with anybody who wants it. Just reach out. It's called anti-patterns. So essentially, it's a skill that you can upload to your Claude or your Claude Code that is a check on your content to make sure that it's not making any of the classic AI pattern mistakes, like it's not X, it's Y, or the hard lead in or the hard lead out, or the three line list thing. Like these classic AI patterns, it's called anti-patterns. So I wanted to push that directly into a GitHub repository, which is where you store your code to share with other people. You guys don't need to know what that means. It doesn't matter. But Claude Code in its natural form couldn't do a direct push because it has guardrails around that functionality. I would have to hack Claude Code to get it to do that. Now, I can hack Claude Code to do it, but just to give you an example, it wouldn't do it natively because it could cause a systemic issue. So it kind of has this guardrail. OpenClaw would do it like this. Now, the disadvantage is you have to be very careful with what you have it do because it can do anything. Okay. So I believe that in the future, next 3 to 5 years, every high performer in the world, let alone in the country and in our industry, will have an AI agent that follows them around that is fully autonomous and on 24/7. So Claude Code, ChatGPT, OpenAI Codex, like these tools are AI agents, but they are not autonomous 24/7 agents. They run functions as you schedule them, as you do them, and they're very, very powerful. Where what OpenClaw is constantly running. So I just want to give you an example. I'm going to give you an example of how I got my book publishing deal, and I want people to think about how they would use a very similar process and apply it to their insurance prospecting. Okay. And this is just one example of why I think we need to start considering these. And there's others. There's Hermes Agent. We mentioned at the beginning, Libor and the team at Momentum are creating a version of this specific to insurance called Momentum Claw or something. I'm not exactly sure what they're calling it, something like that. With it. Okay. So I wanted to write this book easy mode. Okay. So what I had the AI do was interview me. And it took 6 hours. My girlfriend was out of town. My kids were out of town. Friday night, I popped a beer at 4 p.m. And for 6 hours and 4 beers, I just talked my life story into the AI. And it's asking me questions, asking me follow-up questions, connecting dots. Okay, so now it has my full story. So then from there, we start crafting an outline, right? So I'm talking back and forth with the AI, going through every chapter. Here's how the form. Okay, great. And then once we get the outline together, package it up, looks nice. I like it as a first pass. And then I say, okay, now we need a proposal. So then he helps me, he interviews me again, puts together a proposal. And then I said, okay, dude, and this is the part where I want people ears, just open your ears and your mind for a second. I'm going to talk through this going after book publishers. Think about this as HVAC contractors, pallet manufacturers, whoever it is, whatever niche it is that you prospect. So then I said, I want you to go out and build a list of the top 100 publishers that are, 1, currently looking to publish new books, 2, are in the business leadership self-improvement space, and 3, you believe the previous books they've published and their disposition would match me and the book that I'm trying to publish, in this case, Easy Mode. And go. Okay. Close it up for the night, go to bed, wake up the next morning, log in, has my 100 list, rank ordered from 1 to 100 by likelihood to publish a book with me. So then he goes, okay, I also crafted a template version of an email that we'll send to introduce. His words, not mine, max effort. Obviously, we will tailor these specific to each publisher, but this is the general structure. Read it, couple changes, good to go. He goes, okay, now we're going to start emailing everybody 5 at a time every 3 days, starting with 100 and working our way up to 1, with 1 being the most likely to want to publish the book. Okay, great. Let's go. He starts launching. After about a week and a half, we've sent out 20-ish, 25 emails. We've gotten a few no's, few, hey, not nows. Okay, that's fine. And I asked him, why are we doing 5 at a time? And he said, because we want to be able to make iterative improvements in the prospecting email as we go and as we get closer to the ones that we think are really going to do business with you. Okay, that's pretty smart. Yeah. Awesome. I then asked, how come we are not attaching the book proposal, the actual PDF book proposal, to the prospecting email? And he said, because that's a trigger for book publishers that know you're an amateur and that you don't know what you're doing. Would have never guessed that. Boom. Wow. So finally, about 3 weeks into this process, I get a response. Hey, I'm interested. So then I said, hey, Max, go out and find everything you can about this particular guy. right? And he goes out, comes back with a 3-page report. I know his political persuasions. I know the previous books he's published. I know his reputation in the industry. I know his last 5 books that have hit the bestseller list, both USA Today and New York Times. Like, I have all this information. I go into the call fully prepared, ready to go. Half-hour call turns into an hour and 15 minutes. He says at the end, look, I took this meeting because I thought you were interesting and that I may want to work with you in the future, but I was going to pass. I'm going to send you some information about our imprint, in this case, Ben Bella Books. And if you like it, send me a text message and I'm going to send you a proposal. My point in saying this to you is that outside of the 6 hours of introductory prep work of giving Max everything that he needed to know about me as a person, right? Outside of that period of time, getting a book publishing deal probably took me less than 30 minutes of actual work. Guys, this is the power of these tools. When you do the prep, when you set it up properly, and when you have a task that you want it to go after, it now has access to LinkedIn. It has access to Apollo. It has access Apollo Leads. It has access to Rocket Reach, right? It has access to X. So when I want to prospect someone, I was getting back personal emails, work emails. I was getting back LinkedIn accounts to DM them. So like, I had a fully baked 100 prospect, in this case, list with personal and business emails and other relevant contacts inside that business ready to go in literally, I sent it at thing, woke up the next morning ready to go. And I then didn't have to go through and send each email individually. I had him craft a template. He posts them to me to approve. If I need to approve, off it goes. And I'm doing this. I'm approving emails for him to send, like, as I'm walking to the baseball field to coach my son, right? So now I'm fully integrating the things that I love to do in my life, which is coach sports and be around my kids, but I'm getting work done at the same time because I have this autonomous assistant working for me 24/7. So my point is, going all the way back to don't sleep on this shit. Like, this is a superpower unlock to get you to be able to do the things that you do best, which in this case for me was I wanted to be fully prepped, ready to go to crush that conversation. That was my human moment, right? The human moment was me on the phone with this publisher, fully aware, fully prepared, ready to rock, to be my best to get that deal. If I had to spend all the time crafting the emails and doing all the research, I would have never got there.
I would have been out after 10 no's.
That's right. It would have taken months to gather all that information. It was compressed into a couple weeks and done in literally probably my time, 30 minutes.
Yeah. That's amazing. And that's a story that people will hear a lot more. That's a phenomenal story. I want to throw everybody out there. If you want to do something very similar, which is easy, go to Ruben Hassid, HSSID. He's on LinkedIn, #2 LinkedIn creator. He posts something. He's got 2,000, 3,000 likes, 500 comments. He's actually, ironically enough, going to do a 3-hour workshop at Indie I'm flying him in from Tel Aviv. Now, here's the deal. He does this thing called About Me. And I did it when I was on vacation 2 weeks ago. He gives you this long prompt that you put into your Claude or your OpenAI, whatever. And it took me 3 hours and 45 minutes. And what I do is it just sits there and asks you all these questions. What are your contrarian beliefs? What are all these different types of things? And it crafts an About Me. Now I can take that and it takes my writing skill and just throws it out the damn window. Because like you can now put it into your Claude and it knows you so well. And basically he says it like you really are nothing more than a text file. If you really, really come down to it, everything you believe about yourself can be put into text and now it can make it real. Go out. You can find him on Substack. You can find him on LinkedIn. It's Ruben Hassid. He says he also has a newsletter that comes out every Sunday morning. It's fabulous. Ryan, thank you very much for this. I can't wait. Next time we talk, you're going to have 7 other things like this. And as an insurance agent, what niche are you going after? right? Do you write nonprofits? Do you write contractors? How long are you going to sit there and try to prospect all this stuff? Take what he just said and bring that into who you're going after. What's your book you're trying to write, right? And ironically enough, our insurance book. So, hey, thank you very much, Ryan. I'll talk to you before then, but I can't wait to see you at ITC. So all you loyal listeners, you know what I do because I do it for you. Tell me your thoughts and tell me your ideas, and I'm going to tell the world what you have to say. This has been Cass. He's Hanley. We're out.
Peace.